When I told my dad that I was writing a book about Detroit history, he asked, "What kind of history? Like the kind you read in books?" "Yeah," I said, "basically." "So what's the point, if it's already in a book?" Then he asked if I was going to write about Prohibition, which, as it turns out, is a common question people ask when they find out you're writing a book about Detroit history. And I did write about Prohibition, just not the Prohibition that people remember. My dad didn't realize it at the time, but he hit a nerve I have about writing history. By definition, hasn't history already been written? And doesn't that make me a hack? I started writing about history because I didn't know anything about it. I had just moved back to my hometown, Farmington Hills, from Milwaukee. I did it for a pretty good reason, my then-boyfriend, now husband. But once I got here, I had some feelings to deal with. Teenage feelings. What did it mean to live in the suburbs again? What was this freakish place I had come from, with its acres of weedy parking lots, fake-looking front lawns, brigades of high-shine SUVs, and miles of strip malls stretching into the sunset? And where had Farmington Hills come from? And how did it fit into the sprawling galaxy of cities, townships, and villages that enveloped its hard-as-a-marble core of Detroit? Before I started writing about Detroit history, I thought Detroit history went like this. French fur traders founded it. Something, 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 there was a fire at some point, then Henry Ford started making cars, and then Detroit got really big. Something about Prohibition and the Purple Gang, and then the riots in the 60s when white people left town and made the suburbs. And now today, it's getting better, sort of, but there are still a lot of empty buildings, and a lot of suburbs. It's not that everything I knew about Detroit history was wrong, but it was certainly incomplete and hasty. Detroit sometimes forgets that there was ever a time before the automobile, or that it's one of the oldest and most perpetually influential cities in the Midwest, battleground of the War of 1812, capital city of the Michigan Territory, last stop on the Underground Railroad, and then, variously, Stove City, Dry Dock City, Cigar City, Salt City, and Pharma City, decades before the Motor City had motors to move it. The suburbs, too, existed and prospered long before the combustion engine. Farmington was established by Quakers in 1824. Nathan Power, Farmington's founding father, is buried in its tiny Quaker cemetery next to his first wife and 5-year-old daughter, who both died during the cholera outbreak of 1832. History gave me a way into Farmington and, ultimately, Detroit. I traipsed through cemeteries to meet the people I was reading about, visited the landmarks they left behind, and blogged about everything I turned up. Some of my reports from the field were obvious. Others were obscure. I gravitated toward mysteries, rumors, legends, ghost stories, funny stories, and stories about people drinking.